MileBug is going to make it easy for you to track your mileage information, whether you want to just record it for your own personal use or for your business use, so that you can, of course, get that tax credit that we are allowed to get for business-related traveling. And because I'm self-employed, and if you're self-employed, you have even more of a reason to track this. Or, on top of that, maybe you have a job, you use your own personal vehicle and they reimburse you for your expenses, and so using an app like this, of course, is a great opportunity for you to track all of that, regardless of whether it's for tax purposes to get that tax write-off, or, of course, to get reimbursed from your work. So you're going to want to go into presets first to set up this app. Under settings, we have some localization settings here, and then initial trip information that we can add in here. I'm just going to go ahead and leave those alone. Now here we have our presets, our types, rates, business, vehicles, and expense categories. Under types and rates, I went ahead and added business, charity, medical, and other. Those actually were preloaded in, and then of course it gives us the amount that we get reimbursed. So for business, it's saying that they recommend that. I'm going to go ahead and not change it. Let's just hit cancel. 5 cents per mile, charity 14 cents, medical 16.5 cents, and then other nothing, because there obviously are going to be things that I'm going to go and do in my car driving to the grocery store or whatever for personal uses, and I of course don't get reimbursed for any of that, and I don't get to write off on my taxes personal stuff, but I do for work, so I'm going to go ahead and track that. Under businesses, I went ahead and added Jared Hill Studios and Daily App Show and changed charity to church. And so I've got those items in here. I can tap on those and add different purposes and destinations, or just hit save and add those on the fly as I need to. Under vehicles, I went ahead and added the 2 vehicles that I have. And then under expense categories, it comes preloaded with parking and tolls, because those are things that you can be reimbursed for as well. But if you're using this app to track expense categories for your work and you get reimbursed, then you can go ahead and add those expense categories that you would get reimbursed for. So let's go into trips. You can see I have one trip that I've added here. It's basically a trip from my home office to the post office for the purpose of mail or postal. And I took the Nissan Pathfinder, and the trip was a total of 6.6 miles, which results in $3.30 as expense. So I'm going to go ahead and add another item. You can see here that I have favorited frequent trips. If I go to the post office all the time, it would be good just to add it as a favorite trip, because I do it all the time. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap on that, and you can see that it went ahead and preloaded everything in, including the travel distance. All I need to do is adjust the date and time. So let's say I actually did that at 9:40 today. So I'm saving that. Nothing else needs to change. There was no additional expenses. Let's just go ahead and hit save, and now you can see we have 2 items. We've got yesterday's trip to the post office and today's trip to the post office. So let's add another item and add in everything specifically. Let's say that at 11:30 I'm meeting a client at Starbucks, so I'm going to go ahead and add that, hit save. For the purposes of Jared Hill Studios, or we also have these other items, personal, medical, church, these other items that I've also entered in. And at any time, I can tap and add a new business right up there. So our origin, let's say I'm starting off at the post office, because I'm going from the post office to Starbucks. So I'm going to tap in that and hit save. Of course, I can always add new locations here or choose from any of those locations. Now, let's just say I'm at home office. We'll tap there. Destination, Starbucks. I've already added that one in, so let's just go ahead and tap there. I can use the preset order, which are how I can set up and order these under the preset tab we looked at earlier, or I can view them A to Z or Z to A. Now under purpose, of course, mail and postal is not a good purpose for going to Starbucks, so I'm just going to tap there and hit client and type in client meeting. I've went ahead and added that, because that's something I commonly do at Starbucks, is meet with clients. And so from my home office to Starbucks, I'm going to go ahead and tap on End Odometer because it automatically brings in the most recent odometer reading for me. And so I don't have to go and adjust that unless I forgot to track something earlier and I just want to, you know, go ahead and adjust that rather than entering stuff in. So let's go ahead and add in that now my end odometer reading after that trip is for 3 miles. So it's, well, let's say 3.3 miles for that trip. So let's hit save, and it's went ahead and added that. And then of course under expenses, I can add in an expense, and let's just tap on expense category and add drinks to that. Hit save, and then let's say I spent $8 at Starbucks. Now of course this isn't necessarily, you know, telling me that I can get a tax write-off on it, but if it is for business and it's personal, I mean, if it's a personal business that you own, then you may be able to do that. You're going to have to check with your accountant or tax professional, as you would with any of this information. But now I've entered that in, so I can go ahead and hit save and save this item. Now I've got it in here. I could see that a total cost of $9.65 for that trip, between paying for the driving and paying for the Starbucks. And so now I've got all of these trips with their expenses tracked. I could tap on reports. I could view a full report from Sunday to Tuesday, basically an entire month. I can filter out different businesses or different vehicles, and then I can also sort by different functions as well, and then hit send, and it's going to go ahead and generate a report and then send it to me in an email, and I can go ahead and view all that information right here. Looks really good. A nice report that I could print out and send to my boss or my tax professional or whatever it is. I can also hit preview just to review that report before I send it as well. So very cool to be able to do that. Being able to track this information for the purposes of either logging it for your business purposes. Of course, the tax write-off is a huge thing. Being able to write off that, you're going to want to ask your tax professional based on what state and county you live in. They're going to know more specific information, but it's pretty much universal that when business purposes, you're using your own vehicle, you can get a percentage of your fuel and some travel expenses reimbursed, or not necessarily reimbursed, but they become a tax write-off. So use this app, MileBug, to track all of that important information, and then of course use the report export feature to send it to your tax professional so that they can give you accurate information as to what you would get in return for that. So check out MileBug in the App Store today. It is a top app, definitely been downloaded, people are using it, so go get it today.